Dang it, Flip. All right, hey guys, what's up? Don't know what happened. It just Hangouts just shut us off, so that sucked. Don't know why. Don't know why. Kind of pissed off about that. So we hope that we can get everyone who was watching it to come back. So we've kind of fixed it. So all right. So Narwhal was telling us. I don't know where you guys clipped off, but Narwhal was telling us about his art and how he was struggling with his style. So Narwhal, what made you finally get confident in your style?
There was things about it I knew I'd like at any point, and it was always kind of the energy thing. And I was getting better at color, I knew that. So I was going in these directions, and I had this idea of it's almost like cooking, like a combination. The thing, just kind of the guiding thing was just the things I liked. But yeah, it just always wasn't firing on all cylinders, and it slowly has been getting it balanced just right. And you go through periods of where it's not like instantly impressive. That's one thing also we could talk about tonight is like the difference between illustration and comic art, where comic art, you're drawing everything, you're drawing multiple drawings, you're doing a page a day instead of a whole drawing a day. So it's so different. And I'm trying to find a style that works good for storytelling, but it's also cool drawings, but doesn't necessarily have tons of detail, doesn't take hours and hours to draw. So I was thinking about stuff like that because I color my own work. I don't work with a colorist or an inker, so I have to do everything myself. So I don't want to spend 16 hours on a page. I want to spend 8 hours on a page max if possible.
No, I'm with you because I do the same thing. I do the entire stage of the comic book work, and I agree. If there are ways for me to just I focus on the storytelling rather than the image, because it's like, yeah, I could go into huge amounts of detail and focus on like every wrinkle on their shirts, but is that going to help move the story forward? It probably won't. And your art, it's very story driven. I feel like without like the lettering, I can look at your art and I can guess what is going on and what the dialogue is saying. And I think that should be with all comics. If you should be able to, the art should be able to tell the story first.
Yeah, thanks. And that comes from one of the best ways to like develop a style is to kind of jump in. And I think when I was pulling aside some old images, I realized I think I'd done, if you include my first big real gig, which was 150 pages, then I think I drew almost 400 pages before I got pretty happy with what I was doing, So it's like powering through, you're learning the whole time almost accidentally, even if you don't know it. And then you kind of get towards this like style. And a lot of things that guide it are you find corners that you want to cut because it speeds up the process, but it will inform your style. I know one example would be like, I have really minimalist line work because I know that the colors are going to be able to handle the rendering and the shadows. So I don't do that in the inking phase. I save it for the coloring phase. And that's a little bit of like, if you're doing everything, like the inker me can communicate with the colorist me. And for my style, I almost like fire the inker, and that's kind of a little more European. And in America, they love their inking. And so I know it seems like in Europe, a lot of people really like my style is one thing I've noticed. But yeah.
So I got a question in the chat. It says, it's from Justin Ori. It says, how did you come up with the idea of Earthbound?
Earthbound, it's the origin story is that when I was like 25 or so, I moved to Austin, Texas, and was working with a filmmaker his name's Louis Dorge. I don't mind saying his name. He might appreciate it too. He's a good buddy, but he's a filmmaker, and we were just kind of collaborating on some stuff. And he owned a video shop and would get me free movies. So he mentored me a little bit with I watched a bunch of old, rare, cool, weird movies like Japanese and French from like the 40s and 50s and 60s and stuff. And that definitely helps with like storytelling. And he and I co-wrote a script just for fun, and it's like really not the greatest, I don't know, but it was called Sniper Rifle Whiz Kid versus Psycho Movie Killer. It's like a horror movie, and it was about a kid, the Sniper Rifle Whiz Kid, and then this dude from space named Spaceman, and they are competing over they're just in competition with each other to see who can kill more teenagers. And it's kind of not politically correct, just like people are getting murdered everywhere, but it's kind of like teen comedy horror. And so, but that like would get a little bit of attention here and there because he's kind of on the outskirts of the industry, Lou was. So at one point there was a producer, and this is so like fake Hollywood style how it goes, you know, but there was like a producer that was like, I want you to rewrite it as Guardians of the Galaxy, like make it super high budget, lose the, make it a little less violent, something like that. And Lou was doing his own movie at the time. He's like, Perry, do you feel like doing this? And I was like, sure, I'll do it. So I rewrote the entire thing from the ground up. At that point, I was like 27 or 28 and had the idea of the R types and the competition and the world building for the 13 sponsors, where the world is almost like the sports world where headhunters are competing for like pro athletes, but they're more like warriors. And the guns, you instead of paying them money, you're just kind of capturing them, you know? And if you own a warrior who competes in the big tournament, that's almost like owning a sports team in your city. It like boosts your economy and stuff like that. So that's like kind of the world. So that all came like it all evolved from like nothing is the same from the old horror movie. And I don't know, but that's kind of where the idea came from.
That's awesome. I got another question from Justin. Justin's a good friend of mine, and he comes on the show a bunch. He says, being that he creates and draws it himself, do you write a script for yourself? So do you write a full-on script, or do you just have a basic outline?
Yeah, I write the script, and then like that was kind of like, so I'm 32. If we're talking about style, we might do I might show some old art. So timeline could help with this, but a lot of my 20s, it was almost 50-50. Like I did a lot of art, but not as much as you might think. And I was writing a ton, and I was reading tons of books about screenwriting and stuff. So that's kind of where that interest comes from. And I definitely enjoy that and that part of the process. You know?
Yeah, you know, I've seen that a bunch. I've been seeing that question come up a bunch with artists who are also writers, because, you know, they think, oh, you know, do I have to write a script if I'm the artist? Like I'm in control. Do you find that writing a script helps you?
Yeah, and like you'll have edits, so it's always good to go through editing. So if you write a script and maybe you redraft it like normal, you know, but say you get it where you're pretty happy with it, you're gonna redraft it like accidentally when you panel it, and you're gonna redraft it when you letter it. So it will get these iterations will improve it more and more just by default. And so it's a good process, I think. For me, it works. Like I've heard, I think I know Carl O'Rowe, I think he's in the chat. I think he might skip the script phase, and he scripts visually kind of, which is really cool. And so, you know, there's possibilities of doing it that way.
Mm-hmm. Guys, go on Indiegogo. The link's down in the description. I forgot to say this is the selling point. Guys, for $20, you can get Earthbound. It's 140 page book. Narwhal's got like 2 pages left. Right, I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
And does it also do you also get the digital copy, or is it just the print copy?
Yeah. I mean, everyone will get a digital copy, print copy, and then digitally you get more stuff now because we've passed some stretch goals. So everyone's also going to get the Nosferatu first issue, which is 20 pages, and then 2 shorts, Robozan, which is like about like an AI robot and monkey robot in the jungle, and then Naked Samurai, which is so like it ends up approaching 200 pages of content for $20 with 140 of it in print. So definitely a good deal, like arguably the best deal on Indiegogo Comics right now.
No, it is absolutely the best deal on Indiegogo right now, guys. So seriously, guys, link in the description. Go check it out. I think Brad, Pencil for Life, put the link in the chat as well for you guys. Macho Dan asks, if you could pick one part of the process, what is your favorite? Lines, color, or writing?
I like writing, and I also like coloring, but writing is my favorite.
Writing is your favorite. So do you think it would ever get to a point where you would write a script and hire an artist?
Yeah, you know, I've been dabbling with that possibility because the way kind of it's developed like with like the decentralized movement that is Comicsgate, kind of this flowering of independent comics, and that kind of boosted me. Before that, I was kind of working in a vacuum, you know, and so I really appreciate like meeting all these people and networking and having like a successful campaign. And so I have some backed up content. I have like couple old scripts that are still pretty good, and I don't even have time to draw them. So one of them I'm talking with an artist, and we're maybe going to work out a collaboration, and that will be really cool.
That's awesome. That, you know, I say this a bunch. I hate the thing I hate about comics is just how time consuming they are to draw them. If you're a writer and artist, you have so many ideas, and to just draw one, you can only focus on one book, really.
I know it's a bummer. That was making me really depressed last year. I was thinking that.
All right, we got Kawhi Ali. How you doing, Kawhi? And I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Question: how do you come up with your color palettes for your characters?
That's a good question. So that I learned my coloring really started to improve when I watched some YouTube tutorials. There's one, I think the channel's called Sikra Draws, and I highly recommend his coloring tutorial videos. It just takes like a half hour to watch them, but it's amazing that just knowing a little bit can really go a far way to start building some colors that work good together. But the basics that I remember, it was like, if you think of complementary colors, like say red and green, bright red and bright green don't go good together, but bright red goes really good with super desaturated green, and bright green goes really good with super desaturated red. So anytime you do a drawing, you kind of want one color that you're allowing to be fully saturated, and everything else, as you get away from it, you're getting less and less saturated, and that will always look really good.
Dang, guys, I learned something. I was looking at your art while you were saying that. I was just like, oh, you know, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
We got Itchy5 saying, "Phew, I got scared that you kept going the interview without knowing it stopped live streaming." Yeah, we got Justin and Brad texted me and we're like, "Hey, live stream stopped." So thanks, guys. Gosh, I freaking hate technology. And I wanted to rage. If we're not Narwhal, if you hadn't been with me, then you would have, like, the profanities and my anger. I would have broke something. I've been so angry. We got Coffee saying, "Where is Britain though?" Britain is this 17-year-old kid who comes on the stream every night. Every night he's there. He's freaking awesome. So yeah, where is Britain, guys? Everyone, make sure Britain's okay. So did you know you're making comics? You have this style. Have you ever? And I'm asking this because I fight with this myself, and maybe I can get some. This would be like therapy, and you can, like, you know, rework my brain. You know, mainstream comics have taught us to, like, draw like Jim Lee, like the superheroes, and your style is so far from it. Do you ever fight with that? Like, should I be drawing the way that other people are drawing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how I avoided that. And I think a big part of it was kind of like accidental, but it ended up being good. It seemed negative at first, but like I never really got like hired, you know, I never worked for Marvel or anything. The whole time I was kind of trying to break into the comics industry, never did. So the whole time I'm like, I'm kind of working in this vacuum. I'm my own greatest influence. But the other thing is the comics that I loved, the artists that influenced me, they're all these European artists, and that is way different. And I kind of just gravitate towards that. I can name them too. Like the two biggest is Bengal, who I think he's drawing with Rick Remender right now for Death and Glory.
Oh, his art is so good.
Yeah, I love him, and I know if you look at his art, then look at mine, you'd be like, oh, I see. I can see Narwhal's influenced by that, but he's a lot better than me. But he's awesome. And LRNZ Lorenzo is an Italian artist, and he's amazing also. And I got both their art books and their comics, and they're I actually don't have Death or Glory, but I got their like indie European comics, you know.
So basically, you basically took a stance, like saying, you know, I'm not getting. I don't like the mainstream art. That's not my style, but I know I could do successful in this in my own style. It's just not going to be like, you know, a DC Marvel house style.
Yeah, and I think part of that too is I kind of gravitate away from superhero comics. Although it would be cool to do one day. The only aspect I really love about them is the Secret Identity. I think Secret Identity is such a cool story, and that can go back all the way to like Zorro, you know, or the Scarlet Pimpernel or whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I've never done a superhero story. I've never gravitated to it, and yet I feel like because I'm doing comics, there's always like this, like people going, well, how come you don't do a superhero comic? and it's just like, well, my art style, and I just don't really like gravitate. There are some aspects to superheroes. I'd love to do one day though. Britton is in the house. Britton was watching Netflix. Britton, we're glad you're back. We got another question for you. It's from Kawhi. Second question: have you ever storyboarded scripted for your stories?
No. I'll just go into thumbnails from the script, and then from there, which you could almost call that storyboarding, but they're really small and scribbly. Only I can know what they say, really. And then from there, I go straight into the comic process. But I have done storyboards. I don't know, like a fair amount. But when I was like 27 to 28, I was a pro artist, but so poor, starving artist. But I was making rent and food doing art by checking Craigslist every morning in LA. So LA Craigslist, and just doing storyboard work for commission for like, $50 a day or something.
Oh,
and
dang,
I did that for 2 years.
That is nuts.
And I didn't improve that much. I don't know. It's kind of I wouldn't recommend that. Trying that.
So we got Macho Dan saying when Payday hits, Earthbound is getting backed by Macho. Macho, guys, the time is now. It's December 9th is the last day to get Earthbound. Am I correct on that? December 9th?
Yeah. And I realized it will be the exact 3 months. So it'll be in demand for 2 months, and it's going to close. And we're trying to push to 15K. It's a bit of a stretch, but hopefully we can get there. There is a cool stretch goal for 15K too. I'm going to add even more. I'm going to add like the sneak preview for Foreign Agent, which will be my second Indiegogo in the spring. So it's like the first 40 pages of that I'll include digitally to everyone, and to kind of help hype that new campaign. So the content at that point would go up to like, 220 or something like that. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. Sorry. I think January 9th. I don't know what I might have said something else. Carl's Amateur Hour. How you doing, Carl? Just said, you mean January 9th? So I think I might have said something wrong. Yeah. January 9th. That's in 2 days, guys. So I'm going to be backing it. You guys should back it too. So I want to talk with you about your art. Do you work 100% digital? I'm assuming.
Yeah, and like one day I might want to go back, but I've been going that way. And speaking of like my style being the lines with the animation energy, that goes with digital pretty well for me, because I use Control Z, so I'll like do pretty long strokes, and then if it looks bad, I'll Control Z, do it again, and you end up getting like high energy that you couldn't do. Like, so it'd be jarring for me to go back to drawing traditionally, but it's still totally a valuable skill to be able to do that, and I want to develop that more.
Drawing traditional. The only reason why I draw digital as well. What do you use to draw digital? Do you use a Wacom? Do you use Cintiq, Intuos?
Yeah, I got a Cintiq and Photoshop.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, I work digital, but I want to do traditional because you can sell the pages afterwards.
I know. I was just thinking that, and I heard Sean Gordon Murphy say that he would never switch to digital because I think he said it's 4/10 of his income is selling the pages afterwards.
Well, when you're Sean Gordon Murphy, you can sell a
page
for a lot of money.
He's a millionaire, I'm pretty sure. He's so good, but yeah.
He has to be. I mean, his Batman White Knight sold out, like did super well, and then someone bought every one of those pages. So yeah, he's got to have so much money. I was listening to a podcast today, and Michael Lark, he's on Lazarus right now. Is it Michael Lark? Yeah. And he does like 90% of the work digital, and then he prints it out on Blue Line and then inks the rest of it. He inks it. And they were like, why don't you just do it digital? He goes, I want to sell the page.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I want to go to traditional. All right. So I'm looking at the pool scene. Here, I'm gonna screen share. I just have some art questions because I'm a learning artist.
Okay.
Okay. So with this, and this is just me being so naive and so arrogant. Do you blue line like all the perspective so that it's all correct? Or do you just have that memorized? Like, how it would go? Like what's your process in creating a scene like this?
Yeah. Like it's lately it's a little bit sculpty. Like it might be all done on one layer, but it's not like I draw it like just straight from my brain. There's definitely a period of roughing it out,
Okay.
Getting the perspective right.
Okay, yeah, that was my question, because I'm just like, I look at all this And in my brain, I go, the art is so good. The perspective is so on point. But there's also because of that energy and that flow, I wouldn't put it past you to just be like, yeah, I have perspective memorized and I'm just going with it. And it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of like priorities for your style, for some reason that's something I've always prioritized, and I definitely stole that influence from Bengal because Bengal has perfect perspective.
I was reading it's Death or Glory, right?
Yeah,
that's the one he's on right now, and just looking at his like drawing a garage,
yeah,
and it's like perfect. And how, I mean, I look at now that you say that, you know, you make sure that in like just this room you have the bookshelf. This teddy bear backpack. I mean, or what is this? The teddy bear head. I mean, that's something that Bengal does is he designs the room. He puts the objects in there so it feels real.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I saw on Twitter, someone critiqued Bengal. They're like, this looks like he's using tracing 3D. And I really don't like that. And he's like, I don't do that though. And I'm like, that's true. He's like so good that people are accusing him of cheating or whatever.
Yeah, so we have Pencil for Live saying, do you use Sketchbook Pro? Do you use the perspective features?
No, but you know what? I've been dabbling with Blender and just 3D in general because I am interested in it. I like the look. And my book, Foreign Agent, it has it's black and white. And I can maybe show you guys some pages of it later, but it's all 3D backgrounds. But you might not know, like, unless I tell you. But yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Going digital, I feel like with art nowadays, it's 2019. We should try to use like stuff to help us make our art look good. I don't like it when people just, they take a picture on Photoshop and then just like black it out. And they're like, oh, that's it. I think it's cool when they do use 3D models, but then they draw over it and then like they make it their own. They add, whether it's like a cylinder, just a 3D cylinder, and then they put the windows on themselves. I'm really interested in 3D assets in my drawing. It makes it faster.
Whenever the drawing has like great form in the either perspective or the form of the anatomy, I really enjoy looking at that. And yeah, you can kind of tell if they're tracing too much, then it'll be lifeless. So you gotta avoid that. But there's a way to get best of both worlds, I think.
For sure. Got another question for you. It's from Kawhi. Last question before I go. What do you do to recharge your creative flow when you fall victim to a blank page?
That's a good question. Yeah, because I do burn out once in a while. So I think if I have to, I'll take a day off and play some video games. It's on my channel. I'm doing a Let's Play of Tactics Ogre for the Super Nintendo.
I watched that today at work. Sorry if the boss is watching that. I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah, that's funny.
So you just video games.
Yeah, and when I used to be addicted to video games when I was younger, and so that's almost like something I got to watch out for. It's like, so my methadone, like if video games are heroin, then my methadone is Let's Plays. So I'll throw on a Let's Play when I'm drawing, so I'm actually being productive instead of just sitting there playing video games or whatever.
So what is a Let's Play? You're actually playing the game, right?
Let's Plays are like just on YouTube where someone else is playing in the background, and I'll just be drawing. But like, sometimes you'll just be there for the story, or it'll have good background music. Like Chrono Trigger is one I'll throw on a lot of time because it has famous music.
Interesting. It's funny. Hey, we got Sir Blumpkin saying, "Here we will remove your pants and underwear, revealing your beautiful nude body." Guys, I don't know who Sir Blumpkin is, but hi. Do you know who Sir Blumpkin is?
No.
Here we will remove your pants and underwear, revealing your beautiful nude body. We're talking comics, so hey, dude, Sir Blumpkin, if you've never read a comic book, try it. Try Earthbound. It's $20, 140 pages. Yeah, Brad, don't kick him. Brad, don't kick him. Like, if he wants to read a comic, we don't want to shoo people away from the industry. Oh my stars! And guys, don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps me and makes me feel good about my my life. So when you cut, all right. So now I'm back to your looking. So you've planned out. You have the perspective ish. Like what the layout of this page is going to be. Do you then go into line work? But your line work sometimes isn't all black. It's not all black line. Do you sometimes use green lines, blue? Like I see some green lines, blue lines, skin tint. Like.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So pretty much always want the background lines to be color holds and the characters to be black lines because it separates the characters from the background. And I've just found that looks good to me. So I pretty much try and do it all the time now. And how I do that with my line work is I do it on 2 separate layers, and I do one in gray. So the background, I just draw it gray or black with transparency, so it looks gray. And I draw the characters in black. And then later I can pull out that selection and select all those lines in the background because they're a different color. And I make them the color of the background, kind of.
Okay, and then after that, you just color everything normal. How many layers of coloring do you typically have, do you think?
So, like, yeah, my file will have a flats that I would just work on top of the flats, and then lines, and then maybe gradients. I do gradients on a separate layer because they can mess with pulling out selections, and then the color holds, and then light gradients on top. So it's like 4 or 5 layers usually.
Okay, nice. Sir Blumpkin says, I read the Walking Dead comics. So, Sir Blumpkin, welcome to the stream. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're here.
How did Sir Blumpkin stumble across the internet to find himself on this?
That's true, Sir Blumpkin. Tell us how you found this stream. I don't have that many subscribers, so I'd love to figure out how you found, got the stream. So once you color it, I see you have a lot of and I'm the worst with technology and like Photoshop. I don't use Photoshop. I use Clip Studio Paint. I just use that highlight tool to get it like that. Here, let me screen share. Guys, just look at this art. Like right here, you have like I would use what I call the highlight tool just to brighen it up to get the lights. I mean, how long do you think it takes for you to get this look at the atmosphere on this? How long does that take you to get such atmosphere?
If I throw it in, there's a tool I use a lot just called brightness and contrast, because values are like the most important thing, pretty much values and hues. And values is like how light or dark it is. And you can adjust it to get it just right the way I want it. And so that's kind of the main cheating thing I do. But I also kind of challenge myself to do as little of that as possible and pick the right colors to begin with. And you kind of get better as you go. But so I don't use like any layer stuff like multiply or soft light or whatever on Photoshop. I kind of just try to pick colors that look cool.
You see, like to me and my arrogance, I would look at this panel and be like, okay, 6 figures, easy. You have 2 like rectangles, easy. And then like you didn't even draw this. It's just like lines. And so if I were to try to replicate that though, oh my gosh, it would be so terrible. Your art style is just, I will say it's beautiful. I really enjoy. If there was no dialogue, I would just buy this book just to look at the art.
Cool. Thank you. That takes the pressure off me to turn in a good script.
We got Rise Again saying, you guys got to come see Narwhal's channel and my channel. Nar and I do a writer's room for those wanting tips and inspiration for their books. And that's the writer's room, right?
Yeah. That's me and Rise do that every Sunday at 1. And Richard Baldwin will join us too a lot of times.
Awesome. We got Kawhi saying, I found this channel by searching how to write a script. I saw, speaking of YouTube, I made the third video. The third video I ever made on this channel was how to write a comic book script. And it has, I think, like almost 4,000 views now, and it just keeps growing.
Oh,
and then
awesome.
I get all my new subscribers from that one video, my third video.
That's so interesting. I am really curious about that. I need a video like that.
It kind of ticks me off though, because I'm like, okay, 4,000 here in that third video. I think I have better content now.
Oh yeah, and you get like you're kind of pigeonholed now.
Yeah, I'm kind of pigeonholed now, and they're like, well, where's more videos like the third one? I'm like, I'm doing these ones now, and I think they're better. So, yeah. We have Justin Ori saying, I love Tyler's coloring style. He does have a Betty Brightweiser style. I will be honest, I have one time taken Elizabeth Brightweiser's page, and I was like, I want that coloring on my page, and I copied it.
Nice. Well, that's a good way to learn. She's great. She's awesome.
She is great. I just like, she doesn't do a lot of highlights. It's just very flat colors, but the way she does it, I really like it. And then we have Carl Rowe. Yovan Narwhal Mafia has a good ring. I like that, Narwhal Mafia.
Yeah, we haven't challenged anyone, but that's kind of like my gang. If we're gonna go.
And then we have Larry here saying, Larry, no shout out for Larry. LP, you're in the house. I gotta give you a shout out. And I'm super glad. Thanks for inviting me the other day. I got a lot of compliments from that stream that I was on with you. So what's your goal? What's the ultimate goal with comics now? You said you were in a vacuum. I guess maybe I'll ask two questions. First, when you said you were in a vacuum, and then the Comicsgate thing happened, and then you elevated in that, people really took in to what you were. Guys, whether you're pro Comicsgate, anti Comicsgate, it doesn't matter. There was this movement that happened, blah blah, just like it happened. But your book elevated, and people really started liking your art. What was the difference? I guess when you were in this vacuum, what was the change that Comicsgate helped you, get out of said vacuum?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I ran a couple crowdfunding campaigns before this one with Earthbound, and they'd get 60 backers, and 40 of them would be my friends and family they aren't even comic fans. I'm just asking favors for them to back the book, and it's humiliating and I just hated it. But and it's depressing, and I don't know. So I didn't want to. I had a bad taste in my mouth about crowdfunding campaigns. But then the Earthbound one, we're over 400 backers now and over 13,000 funds raised. So yeah, I'm so grateful to connect with that community. And I kind of saw it as it reminds me of it was almost a picket line, because it's controversial, but it's also you're going to find work and you're going to find this community. And I'm that's worth it to me, because otherwise I'm just working full time at a minimum wage job. I work at the Fred Meyer Deli slicing meats. I did that all summer full time. I'm depressed. I'm oh my God, and now I do it part time, which is awesome. I actually like that job part time. It's fun, but
because of your art, you can now do your art full time.
Yeah. And part time, I guess now, but I do it almost 40 hours a week. And then I work at the deli 20 hours a week right now. But
that's
then,
awesome.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, my goal, I wouldn't mind going more and more full-time art. I think that's the goal. I do want to, make more and more money, make a living, enough to support a family one day, all that. That's a goal. So We'll see how that goes. But
well, and by the way, guys, thank you everyone who backed Demons Volume 1 last year. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys come back on February 1st for Demons Volume 2 on Indiegogo that I'm going to be putting out. But there is something about it must feel good, Narwhal, knowing that you don't know the names of every backer.
Oh yeah. And there's so many of them I can't keep up and respond to. All the positivity almost,
when I was packaging all the books up to my backers, and once again, super glad, to do that, it really made me feel good. But at the same time, I knew 98% of the people I was backing to. I was oh, there's my uncle.
Oh yeah.
And there's my father-in-law. There you go, And that, guys, that's the goal of the channel, and that should be the goal for all of us as comics creators, is to grow a fan base where you can't name all the people that you send your book to. I feel like that's a good thing. I don't know if I'm wrong or not.
Yeah, no, I mean it's good just by definition, because that's kind of the definition of success almost, or one way to define it.
Yeah, when you don't know who knows you.
Yeah, and there's a big part of this new business plan that's sort of getting iterated as we go. We're getting developed, but it's a big YouTube and social media and Twitter being really positive to the fans. All this really helps, and it's great. It's rewarding on both ends. So that's all there. But yeah, it's of the 400, there's a bunch of them I have never seen before, even on Twitter, or YouTube. I don't know who they are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We got Pencil for Life. Yeah, guys, Handyman is coming soon on Indiegogo. That's with me and Brad. I sent him the script last night, the finished script, and Brad, you still haven't read it. We need to talk. We got Larry saying Avani #1 and Niobe Birthright with coffee doing the art. That's happening. We got Justin Ori saying looking forward to Handyman Tyler and Brad working together. Can't go wrong there. We got Kawhi saying I'm so excited for Volume 2. Thank you. That makes me feel really good. And we're 100% done with Volume 2. And Travis has 3 more pages left of Volume 3. It took like a year to make it. And then we have John Dillard gaming the system. John, welcome. And you and I need to talk sometime, John. But it says, what is your next personal milestone in regards to improving your skills to the next level?
For me, it's like getting it to that competing with even like Bengal or LRNZ, my heroes. I want to compete with them more and more and get to that point where, like right now, my art has this a style that's almost like a brand, and that's going to benefit me in the future. But I can still improve it and make it so that maybe the percentage of people who it connects to goes higher and higher.
Do you want to continue doing crowdfunding, or would you ever think of pitching to like Image?
I don't know. I love crowdfunding for now, and I'll see. I guess I got to see how it goes. One kind of weird goal in the future is animation. I want to go into animation at some point, maybe in like 10 years, or 20.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, animation.
I can see Earthbound as an animated film.
Yeah, I love animation. I conceptualize a lot of my ideas in comics kind of that way. But Cautionary picked up Earthbound. I don't know if I mentioned that. So that's kind of a cool little positive thing. And like, I don't know exactly what it means. It means there's going to be a second print run, and it means it might be in stores. I'm kind of pushing for them to make the deal because it's not through Diamond, but the deal to get it at Walmart's, and that would be awesome.
That'd be so cool. Congrats! I didn't know that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
And I think I was talking with Brad, and Brad was talking with Peter Simeti of Alterna, and I think that the next stage really for us indies is to find ways to get bigger distribution. Crowdfunding is an amazing thing right now. It's going really strong. People are getting really excited about it, but we're still not reaching as many people as we need to. And so, deals like that are awesome for you.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that. Hey, I see in the chat, Muttman's asking about Megaton. Is it okay if I talk about that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So Megaton, it's in kind of a partnership with the Writers Room, which is on my channel. And me and Vaughn are kind of spearheading it, but it's going to be a comics anthology. And it's like, 120 pages, maybe. We're kind of going to start there, and it will be crowdfunded eventually. And we're just building content for it as we go. We're always open to submissions. Kind of our mission statement is to connect writers and artists to try and especially if they're up and coming kind of. And we're kind of separating it right now. There's a varsity and a JV. So we'll see. We might even do 2 publishing things, or 1 digital, 1 in print. But we're going to try and have some quality control to really do something that competes with, if you name it, I don't know, like 2000 AD or anything Image might do. We want to compete, hopefully, with some pros kind of with it. But it's all shorts, and it's genre, so it's like horror, action, anything genre, then it's in. That's
freaking awesome. We were talking on a stream right before the new year, and we were talking about how more indies need to like do like books together, like these compiled books where we can have all of our names out together, and it just helps spread. So I think that's a freaking awesome idea that you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah, like I've heard, and I kind of can agree with it, that anthologies can get a bad name because they tend to get crowdfunded for a lot because they might have 20 artists on them that all ask their friends and family. Like when I had 60 of people I call in, so if 20 people each ask their 60 friends and family to back it, whatever that is, 20 times 60. Is Nasser still in the chat? Tell us what that is. But then we'll know, you can get up there, you can make a lot of money, but then it gets distributed and you're still nobody's getting paid that fairly. And then the content is kind of just it's maybe not the best quality, and you might have like 1 good one and 5 bad ones. So we're hoping to have them all good. But one kind of part of it that's exciting is the Writers Room aspect. We've done 3 so far where we've written the short, like live in the writers' room, and they all, in my opinion, are pretty solid. They're pretty fun. Like Vaughn's doing one right now called Titan Gun, I think, and it's about these guns on Earth that he'd pitch it better than me, but basically the guns on Earth, they're like tied to a god. So the Cupid gun is this little revolver, and they kind of have these qualities. So the Cupid gun, it shoots true if you're in love, but it shoots terrible if you're not in love. And then there's the Medusa shotgun, where if you look at it, you turn to stone.
That's awesome.
If you're staring down the barrels. So like, yeah, it's like this kind of like gang story within that world.
Gosh, comics. Guys, comics are so awesome. The ideas that you can do. I like to say that comics are like the bridge between movies and like novels, and they're better.
Yeah, I say that too. I think they're better than movies and books. The best comics are.
Yeah, the best. I mean, just that idea is so cool. And the sucky thing is, it takes a long time to make these things. You know, I wish that, you know, a comic page didn't take as long. You know, but, you know, you say, I'm going to do a 20-page comic. That's cool. That could take anywhere from a month or two for like an average person. Sometimes it takes like way longer for other people. I mean, if you take in like, you know, their day jobs, their family life.
Yeah, if you're working a regular life, it could take 6 months, you know, or something like that. So yeah,
for sure. Hey guys, we have remember to like the stream and also share it. We have 21 people watching. If we can get to 22 people, that will be the new record. If we can get 22 people to watch the stream.
Oh, 20, nice. I want to be part
the current record. We got a question for you. It's from Itchy5. Are you concerned that Nintendo may go after you since their NES game called Earth, because it's an NES game called Earthbound? Are you concerned that you may have to change the name to play it safe?
I'm not concerned, and if that ever did happen, I would change it and I wouldn't be too mad about it. But I think it won't happen because this actually came up early in the campaign. That I got a troll on Twitter trying to inform Nintendo, and a bunch of people
really get a life.
Yeah, I know. And a bunch of people came to my aid and kind of were explaining to the troll. They're like, all this stuff, like precedent. You know, there's a Earthbound book out there that's not Nintendo. There's all this Earthbound stuff. So I think the rule is you can't do a video game. Like that would be illegal or whatever.
Hey, maybe, you know, I've always said that if any big company like DC, Marvel, even like Nintendo, Disney, if they would say, hey, like quit what you're doing, I'll just be like, okay, you know, if you like it, you can buy it off of me and I'll sell it to you for like, you know,
5 million.
5 million. You know? Yeah. We have John Dillard saying only Brad's comics are better than movies and novels. No way, everyone's comics, but Brad does have some killer artwork. Muttman, comics is the greatest medium, more creative freedom than any other medium, maybe the truest form of creativity. I'm with you on there. I'm also with that on like video games as well. I feel like it's one of the only mediums where you can like interact with the art is video games.
Yeah, I really enjoy video games as art too.
Hey, we have 22. Narwhal, you now hold the record of most people watching on the stream on the show.
Nice. If it ever gets to 22 when I'm not the guest,
I'll bring you back on.
Yeah.
Justin Ori says storytelling with comics has no limitations. It's just your imagination. Absolutely. I mean, you can do whatever you freaking want. And then we got Rise Again saying Nintendo can't do a thing.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. So I guess I want to end the stream, but I want to end the stream right now. I have some things I got to get done tonight, but I want to ask you one final question, and this is kind of really the heart of the show is this final question, and I probably should like ask it at the beginning of the show, but I feel like if people don't watch till the end, they don't deserve your answer. What's, you know, for someone who is waking up tomorrow, I guess, and saying, you know, I want to start making comics, or maybe there's someone who's saying, you know, should I keep doing comics? What advice can you give to them on starting / continuing on making comics? What advice can you give to get them to push forward?
Yeah, if you start a project that will guide you, so I'd say like have a script. It can be a short, but have a script and draw the pages out, because that's how you'll learn. The first time you jump into doing sequential art. It's so different than when you're a kid just drawing whatever you want on a piece of paper. You have to learn everything quickly. You'll realize all this stuff you never thought of, like just like getting the perspective right. But you might realize you've never drawn a couch in your life, and you have to figure out how to draw a couch for the first time. Or for me, it was cars. I really was terrible at cars, and I still am not the greatest, but always trying to get better. So yeah.
Comics, you have to learn. I actually think I heard it from Sean Gordon Murphy. He said the sucky thing about comics is that you have to know how to draw everything. There's no other medium where that expects you to know how to draw everything.
Yeah, I heard someone say, like, if you think of it like the way the jobs work in Hollywood, you're doing all those jobs, especially like you and me, where we're coloring our own stuff and lettering it and everything. But yeah, coloring is like cinematography. You're getting all the lighting, and I've learned a lot about that. Like I could light any scene now just in my head, and I can conceptualize the lighting, and that takes have to do a few books or whatever like that. Then I start to develop those skills. But it's cool how it grows. And the last piece of advice I tell anyone is like YouTube is such a good resource, and I would almost say like don't go to college, just do YouTube. But I don't know.
No, so guys, tomorrow I have an episode coming out. It's not a stream, it's an episode. I filmed it. It took me a lot of time to make this because I have a lot of cutscenes. I cut little things out for you guys to like visual aids, and the topic is the things that you need in 2019 in order to make money with your comics. I talk about all the social medias you need to use, how to use them, and other aspects on how to sell your comic book to make money. So check that episode out tomorrow. Guys, thank you so much for Narwhal for being on the show. Guys, check out his Indiegogo. The link is down below. It's at $13,000. Go check out the perks. I mean, guys, $20 perk. You're gonna get a 140-page graphic novel. Plus, you're going to get a crap ton of other comic books, including a Nosferatu, his black and white comic. Guys, thanks so much for watching Draw and Talk. Narwhal, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Tyler.
And guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Not like literally because I'm not going to be live streaming, but check out the episode tomorrow. What you need in order to make money with your comics in 2019. I have a lot of love for you guys. I made that video out of a lot of love because I wanted to see everyone freaking succeed. John Diller, the gaming says, I even have glitter crayons come at me. I like coloring too. All right, we're gonna end it there. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe. We'll see you guys later.